Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Jag here. In today's class, we're going to continue with our Math 10 content, and we're going through the equation of an altitude. So with that, let's get started. All right, so here we are. So I put down equation of an altitude, okay? So let's start with this example. All right, I'm going to take a question from the textbook. Okay, so it says draw a triangle DEF. So let's write it down here. Okay, with the vertices which are given, and then we're going to draw the altitude from vertex D. So I'm going to give you the points here. So D is -1 and 6. E is equal to 4 and 3. Okay, and then F is equal to 0 and -4. So just like this. So again, even if the question does not tell you to draw out the triangle, I would make sure I draw it out. Okay, I need to have a visual so I can see where this vertex D is and how to actually draw the altitude. Okay, so we're going to do like a quick sketch here. Okay, so point D is -1 and 6. So point D is like right here, like that. Point E is going to be 4 and 3. So I'm going to make a point here. This is E. Okay, everyone see that? Point F is 0 and -4. Okay, and so this is point F right here. So I can see I have like a really quick sketch here that took me just like 1 minute. Okay, join all the points together. And right away, I have a visual of what the triangle looks like. Okay, now we're going to draw the altitude going down. Okay, the altitude from vertex D. So it's just coming down like this. It is forming a right angle triangle. However, note that when you're drawing the altitude, it's just coming straight down. It's not actually going through the midpoint of that opposite side, okay? So let's make a note here, okay? I'm going to put, again, the altitude. Okay, let's put does not go through. I'm going to underline it. Okay, let's put does not go through the midpoint, okay? It's just going basically straight down, okay? So if you remember, when we were looking for the median, we did have to find the midpoint of the opposite side, and that was our first step, okay? In this case, what we're going to do, okay, so I'm going to put step 1 here, okay, on this side. We're going to find the slope of this line here, which is EF, okay? And you notice my altitude is actually perpendicular to this line. Okay, so the slope of the altitude is just going to be the negative reciprocal. Okay, so let's start. Let's do the slope of line E and F, okay? One more time, I'm just going to put the points here. E is 4 and 3. Okay, and then point F is 0 and -4. Okay, and I always write the points down once again. Let's label it x1, y1. X2, Y2. You should again always label the points, okay? A lot of students are just mixing up the numbers when they put it into the formula, all right? So let me write the formula for the slope. So we're doing Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1, okay? And you notice like as soon as I actually just label it, it's very easy when you're putting it into the formula, okay? And there won't be any mistakes as well. Okay, so Y2, -4 minus 3 over, we're doing x2 minus x1. I'm doing 0 minus 4. So just like this. Does everyone see that? Okay, so you're just taking these points here. I'm putting it into the formula for the slope because we're looking for the slope for the line of EF. Okay, so this is equal to -7 over -4. Again, don't leave this as your final answer here for the slope. Okay, I see that there are 2 negative signs here. The negative signs have to cancel out. So this equals to 7 over 4. Okay, and this is the value for my slope. Okay, maybe let's box it here. Okay, so this is actually the slope that we are getting. Okay, however, I just wanted to box the final answer we were looking at. I notice I want the slope of my altitude. Okay, let's maybe label it here. This is the altitude. Okay, And the slope of my altitude is going to be, again, the negative reciprocal, okay? So let's put, therefore, the slope of altitude. Okay, and again, remember when it's a negative reciprocal, we are just going to flip this over. So instead of 7 over 4, it's going to be 4 over 7. Because it's a negative reciprocal, I have to make sure I'm adding a negative sign. Okay, everyone see that? And I'm going to just box this, okay? So this is actually the slope, okay, that we are going to be using in our equation. Does everyone see that? Okay, so again, make sure you're not using this slope. Okay, the only way we would be using this slope is if I was looking at two parallel lines. Okay, because remember, parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, so this is the slope of the altitude. So let's go to the second step here. We are looking for the equation. I notice that it is a straight line. So we are going to, let's put what we're doing here. Equation of altitude. Okay, so even when you break it down into steps, I always write subtitles, okay? So the teacher can see exactly what it is you're calculating now, okay? And a lot of the teachers will give part marks, okay? Make sure you're showing all your work here. So let's put it into the y equals mx plus b. Okay, I'm going to plug in my slope here. We got negative 4 over 7. Okay, so y equals negative 4 over 7x plus b, like this. Okay. And just like as we were doing the equation of a line before, okay, I'm just going to choose one of my points here. However, okay, I noticed that I can't use point E or point F, okay? I'm looking at the altitude. And again, that's actually the reason we drew it out, okay? If you see points E and F here, is not even on the actual line of the altitude. Does everyone see that? Okay, so if I decide to use point E or F in my equation here, that's just going to be wrong, okay? When we're doing the equation of an altitude, I'm using point D. Okay, everyone see this? So it has to be a point that actually lies on the altitude. Okay, and the only point that lies on the altitude in our question here is point D, the vertex of the triangle. I can see because that's where the line is going through. Okay, so I'm going to write, let's make a note on that. Okay, so we're using point D, which is negative 1 and 6. And I'm using the X and Y, okay, for point D here. Okay, is everyone clear on that? Okay, don't use any of the points that do not lie on the altitude. Okay, so we're going to plug in y as 6, okay, equals negative 4 over 7 times negative 1 plus b. Everyone's good? Okay, and we'll just write it maybe on this side here. Okay, again, just leave it as a fraction, okay, and that's what we'll use for our final answer. Okay, so we have 6 equals, we're doing negative 4 times negative 1, positive 4 over 7 plus b. Okay, take it to the other side. I'm going to subtract it. So 6 minus 4 over 7, which is equal to b. And then you can take a common denominator. Okay, so just like this. Okay, so again, if you want to skip a few steps here, okay, that's all right as well. There's no need to write all of your answers out. Okay, but here what we're doing is 6 times 7, 42, minus 4, which is equal to 38. Over 7, because we used a common denominator. Does everyone see that? Okay, and this is the value for b that we got. Okay, again, I like to box my answers. Make sure the teacher sees exactly what it is you're solving for. And this is my equation now, okay? So y equals, this is my altitude, slope. So it's going to be negative 4 over 7x. Okay, plus my b value, okay, which is 38 over 7. So just like this. Everyone see that? And this is my final equation, okay, of the altitude. Okay, I'm just going to box it here. Everyone see this? Okay, and that's the final answer. Okay, so a question like this will most likely be worth maybe like 4 marks here, because you could see how much work we did just to get our equation at the very end. Okay. All right, so let's just go through exactly what we did one more time so everyone knows what to do and there's no confusion. Okay, so the question is given to you. Make sure you read the question very carefully. Okay, and the first thing we did was basically just sketch out the triangle. Okay, and again, it said basically to draw the altitude from vertex D. If it said to draw the altitude from vertex E, the altitude would be coming down like this. Okay, one more time, the altitude is just a straight line going down, and it hits the opposite side of the triangle. Okay, the altitude does not go through the midpoint, so there's no need to calculate the midpoint here. Okay, what we did is we found the slope of the opposite side. Okay, when you find the slope of the opposite side here, okay, what we did was we did the negative reciprocal, because I can see this opposite side of the triangle is actually perpendicular to the altitude. Okay, and that's how we found the slope. Okay, after we found the slope, we just put it into the y equals mx plus b formula. Okay, and again, when we did that, we made sure that we used point D here because that's a point that actually lies on the altitude. Okay, so again, don't use point E or F here. That is the wrong answer. Okay, we're taking point D here, we're plugging it into our formula, and we're solving for the value of b. Okay, and so our final answer here was y equals negative 4 over 7x plus 38 over 7. Does everyone see that? Okay, and usually you'll notice for the slope and the y-intercept, okay, if it is a fraction, the denominator is usually the same. You see how we got a denominator of 7? That's actually a good way to check your answer. All right? Okay, so that looks good. And I hope everyone actually learned how to find the equation of an altitude. Again, there are a lot of questions in the textbook. Make sure you are trying it for practice. All right? And if there are no questions, that does bring this video to an end. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see everyone in the next video. Thanks. Bye.